Let me tell you something. There is an invisible war being fought all around you, every single day. It's a battle against your most precious, non-renewable resource, your time. And the enemy is the line.
Oh, you know that feeling, right? That slow, agonizing crawl toward a single point of service? That creeping frustration that you're just stuck in a system that seems designed to waste your life away 1 second at a time.
You see it at the supermarket checkout. You're absolutely trapped in it during rush hour traffic,
And you just have to sit there and endure it at the doctor's office. But here's the thing. What if I told you that this isn't just random chaos? That your wait is actually a carefully calculated problem? And that for over a century, some of the world's brightest minds have been waging a hidden war on that wasted time? Okay, let's dive into how they do it.
To understand this, our story doesn't start with some fancy supercomputer. Nope. It starts with a telephone. We're going back to the very beginning of a new science, one that was born from the simple, frustrating need to connect a phone call.
So I want you to meet Agner Krerup Erlang. Back in 1909, this Danish engineer had a huge puzzle on his hands at the Copenhagen Telephone Exchange. See, if they had too few operators, callers would wait forever and get really mad. But if they had too many, the company was just burning money on people sitting around. He had to find that perfect balance. So he turned to math, and in the process, he basically invented an entire field of study. He called it queuing theory. And the whole point is, believe it or not, deceptively simple. Can we use math to predict how long a line is going to be and how long you'll have to wait in it? It's all about using probability to make really smart decisions about resources, whether that's phone operators back in 1909 or grocery store cashiers today. So how does it actually work? Well, every queue, from a traffic jam to a website server, can be broken down into 3 basic parts. First, you've got the arrivals. That's you walking into the store. Second, you have the queue itself. That's the line you're standing in. And third, you have the server. That's the cashier who helps you. Queuing theory is all about modeling the flow between these 3 stages. For example, one of the most famous models out there is called the M/M/1 queue. That first M stands for a really key concept in understanding randomness. So here's a question for you. Do you know what it stands for? Is it A, multiple, B, minimal, C, Markovian, or D, manual? And the answer is C, Markovian. Now this is a super important concept. It means the system is memoryless. Basically, the arrival of the next customer is totally random and isn't affected by when the last person showed up. It assumes that just because you've been waiting for someone to get in line behind you for 5 minutes, that doesn't make it any more or less likely that someone will arrive in the next minute. Okay, so Erlang gave us the tools to analyze a single line. But modern businesses took that idea and just blew it up, applying it to their entire operation. And that sparked a revolution in efficiency. This is where we get the whole philosophy of a lean environment. The core idea is to treat any wasted resource, not just your waiting time, but also idle employees, extra materials, wasted motion, as an enemy that has to be eliminated. It's all about being ruthlessly efficient to give the customer the most value possible. And this chart, it just perfectly illustrates the shift in thinking. The old way of doing things, the traditional approach, was reactive. It was based on old data or just a manager's gut feeling. The lean approach, though, is predictive and proactive. It uses statistical models to forecast exactly how many people are needed and when. The goal is just-in-time staffing. No waste, no waiting. Okay, so based on that quick question, which of these is not a primary goal of a lean environment? Is it A, reducing waste, B, continuous improvement, C, maximizing inventory, or D, enhancing efficiency?
Yep, you got it. It's C, maximizing inventory. In a lean world, having extra inventory, whether we're talking about products on a shelf or employees with nothing to do, is just another form of waste you want to get rid of, not maximize. All right, let's really raise the stakes here. We've been talking about convenience and saving a few bucks, but these same principles of eliminating waste and optimizing resources get applied in places that are way more critical. What happens when the problem isn't just a long line for coffee, but it's literally a matter of life and death? Welcome to the nurse scheduling problem. This is not just a simple queue, not by a long shot. This is what's known in computer science as an NP-hard problem. And that's just a fancy way of saying that finding the one single perfect optimal schedule is one of the absolute hardest computational challenges that we know of. It is monstrously complex. And here's just a little taste of why. You're not just filling slots on a calendar. You have to balance hundreds of competing rules at the same time. You need a minimum number of nurses on every single shift, but no nurse can work more than 4 days in a row. They need required rest periods. There are special rules for weekend work. And on top of all of that, you also want to try to accommodate their personal preferences. It's a truly dizzying puzzle. So how on earth do you solve a problem that's pretty much designed to be unsolvable? Well, you don't just use a bigger calculator. You have to change the very language of the problem itself, using these incredible, cutting-edge, quantum-inspired tools. This is done using a model called Cubo. Now, I want you to think of Cubo as a kind of universal translator. It takes all of those messy, complex, real-world rules and converts them into a simple, elegant mathematical format. Every single possible decision becomes a binary choice, a 1 or a 0. This nurse works this shift is a 1. This nurse is off is a 0. And suddenly, this impossible puzzle becomes a massive equation that specialized computers are actually built to solve. So how do they solve it? Well, one popular method is an algorithm called simulated annealing. What real-world process do you think it might be named after? Is it A, biological evolution, B, weather forecasting, C, the annealing of metal, or D, stock market fluctuation? The answer is C, the annealing of metal. And this is such a cool analogy. To make metal stronger, a blacksmith heats it up, which lets the atoms move around freely, and then cools it down very slowly. This allows all those atoms to settle into their strongest, most stable, lowest energy state. The algorithm does the exact same thing. It explores tons of possibilities before slowly cooling the system down to find the optimal, lowest cost answer. It's beautiful, right? So from a simple phone call all the way to scheduling a critical hospital ward, there's this hidden world of mathematics that's constantly working behind the scenes to smooth out the frictions of our daily lives. So what's the big picture here? Well, first, that universal frustration we all feel when we're waiting, it wasn't just accepted, it actually gave birth to a whole new field of math. Second, modern businesses took that and evolved it into lean principles to attack waste in all its forms. Third, some of our most critical challenges, like nurse scheduling, are so insanely complex they're pushing the very boundaries of computation, and they require advanced models like Kubo. And finally, and maybe most importantly, all of this is happening invisibly, all the time to make your world run just a little bit better. So the next time you find yourself in a surprisingly short line or your commute home is unexpectedly smooth, just pause for a second. And I want you to ask yourself, was that just good luck? Or was it very, very good math?